needed. Again, to recap, Vertigo, Nuke, and Ancient. Nouns starting on the CT side of Vertigo, Wildcard starting on the CT side of Nuke, and Ancient, if required, will have a knife round. It looks like we are getting into the action as well. On the 51st floor, it is Vertigo to start off this best of three. Again, Wildcard, a 6-0 record. Nouns, a more humble 4-3, but both teams more than well-versed on this map.
Yeah, it's not been played all too often at most recent big events, but we get it first here in playoffs. Nouns on that CT side have Junior with the raid boss dualies out in middle. Rush has the kit for them. And for Wildcard, P250 armor for JBA and a flashbang smoke combination for the in-game leader. Carson has the spot. Should just be a dry fight out the ramp here. Carson lets it fly, takes Fozy down to just below half HP and backs away. No reinforcements coming. He only saw the one. He's not going to dismantle this mid-heavy stack that Nouns have set up just yet. And a retake A setup seems to be on the cards here. The lack of utility, though, might just come back to bite Nouns, although Carson's repass around the catwalk gives him a nice little off angle to work with. He'll back away, though, and now his friends will come to his assistance, to his succor as they come on through. Double dinked and then put down by Susp. Junior trying to come through as the bomb goes down. This retake looking a little bleak here for the Nouns as the smoke walls off elevator. George does catch Susp trying to hunt. Sonic around behind, though, somehow doesn't get the first kill and falls in the end. Junior still alive into this 3v3. Time is there with that kit on Rush to make this retake happen. JBA spotted. Sandbags also revealed, and the double up towards ramp has been spotted. The side haul from Fozy, critical. He wins the duel. Dink by Stan, not the kill. A stick, a shutdown from Fozy, and he'll take down two more to get 4 on the round and the pistol round on the board for Wildcard.
4 feathers in Fozy's hat early on. A hero in the pistol to swing the momentum in the favor of Wildcard for the early goings of this first map. You'd expect nothing less given the fact that they picked it. Wildcard, swift investment, 2 Galils, 3 rifles, a pair of Galils, and an AK. Versus the full save of Nouns. They got pretty close in the end, but not close enough to get the victory. P250 for Junior and a flash for Rush is all they invest. Stanislaw throwing some utility early from top of ladder. Nouns not really heading in any specific direction, showing some contact towards ramp. Wildcard doing their due diligence, though, holding for any early aggression, and now beginning to group and assemble towards the A ramp.
Heavy defenses prepped for this take. Molotovs and nades try and force them into the open, soften up the defending players entrenched on site. Utility going in now. JBA looking for a boost. The rifles trying to pick at a range, but now Stanislaw charging in. Spots one, Susp gets another. Down goes JBA, and around the smoke. Oh, that's unlucky for Carson not to get anything more than that. He's shut down instantaneously, and so Rush on half HP will head-to-head shot. Jump up, and he's sent down. 2-0, no real fuss for Wildcard here as they kick off their T side into the first gun round of this half.
Solid second, losing just a Mac 10. Means they can build a bit of a T side economy. Stanislaw is going to drop an AK over to JBA. He was the only casualty in that round. That means most players on the T side will have a good amount of cash in the bank, barring the IGL, who's only at 550. JBA is a little bit low at 1200, but still okay. Nouns, their first rifle buy, as expected in round number 3. They're lacking a bit of utility, and they don't have a kit if a post plant comes through.
That lack of a kit can definitely hurt them. Their lack of utility, another major concern in my book, Nate, as they have 3 smokes and a nade with 127 to go. Now 2 smokes. It's all going to come down to the initial duel. Wildcard still have plenty of utility to work with. A dry retake on Vertigo, not anything you want to attempt. This aggression down towards ramp inside yellow area. Could you all get dismantled if that smoke fades favorably for Fozy? Molotov in, spots one, lets it fly, runs to safety. As George and Junior backing away towards site, 55 seconds, Wildcard slowly moving up the A ramp, still taking their sweet time, but they'll have to hurry if they want to give time to bail out. Things go horribly wrong. Good opening from Sonic, but he takes a lot of damage onto that duel by Junior. Fozy, one, but only one. Susp has CJ holding the long rotation. And now into this 4 versus 2. Susp knows Rush is around the corner, and Wildcard are funneling back towards B, ready to take the fight on stairs. Rush needs 2 to make this winnable, and if he doesn't even get 1, this round is done. He got 2? How does he get
second?
2?
It's a rough spray, a third on the USB, all 4! He finds them all, shuts them down entirely. Rush makes the most of an awkward spray on the first and transitions to find every single wildcard player left in the server. They had the timing, they had the information, they knew Rush was going to be close, as you mentioned, they clear it out as they should, and yet wildcard stumble and fumble individually. Nouns steal away that round with the heroics of Rush, and those 3 kills, that should be the round. Wildcard 3 unanswered. They finally get 1. Rush, though, 2, 3, and all 4 to get the first on the board for Nouns.
Yeah.
Money's still not great, though, for either team, in fact. George is on an MP9. Wildcard, 3 AKs, a Tech 9, and a Mac 10, and they're going to up the pace, getting ramp control rather quickly, playing in the smokes. Carson, a mixed bag of openings, 1 for 1, albeit good damage onto JBA. Junior as well, still slinking around the sandbags, is looking for something, but not committing to an outright peek. He's going to try to use that method of surprise. Meanwhile, though, Wildcard are transitioning back towards B stairs far earlier than they did in the round prior. Nouns going hunting, know that something's aloof, but will they be quick enough is the question. Rush trying to defend B once more. Back sight this time at range with an AK, only good for 1, but with good damage on the Susp and no real utility for Wildcard to lock Nouns out, barring these initial smokes. It's going to be a very difficult situation for them in this post play.
Yeah, that last smoke they just used all they have, and Fozy takes a dink through smoke as well. I believe that's from the player up top, a drop in Junior. Wounded players on Wildcard, only JBA has anything, and he's a 2-shot versus 1. Susp already down. The retake working smoothly for Nouns here. That flash doesn't really do much, but they'll move up behind a huge opener from Fozy. JBA another, and they spot the last. They'll swing together and combine onto CJ. And so the 1-round victory, thanks to the heroics of Rush, sits on an island, surrounded by yellow. 3-1 for Wildcard. Nouns reset into round number 5. And that'll be wonderful for Wildcard's economy as well, as there should be no investment coming through from the CT side. A prime opportunity to get out those Mac 10s as you see Sonics picked one up and just grab a nice bank account.
Fill up the bank, establish a solid lead of 3 rounds at least. Prime opportunity for Wildcard. That round was also a heck of a way for JBA to announce his presence in the server. He had a slow start, but found 4 in the round prior. 4 tremendously impactful kills. Sonic reading the economy well is on a Mac 10. It's partially reading the economy well, partially the lack of funds. Hopefully he can build up a bank on that SMG. Nouns, gonna probe for information. They stacked towards A early on. I think George got the spot. He was also spotted in kind. Wildcard slowly clearing. Again, doing due diligence. Swing comes through. Support is there. The redundancy's built in to swing off contact. And it's a clean mop-up as a result. Wildcard lose nobody.
Look at JBA's health.
He was that initial contact on the sandbags. He very quickly ducked back in the nick of time. 4-1, as you mentioned, building an economy. Does Sonic go for the bonus? He might not. It's a 50-50. What a clean mop-up from a Wildcard who are already here and raring for a quick first map.
Yeah, and here's the other thing, too. For Nouns, their record on Vertigo is 60.8% win rate on CT side, 50.8 on T. They are a heavily defensive-sided team this map. I mean, Wildcard are too, but their numbers are 71.9 and 63.8. So a big difference there, over 10%, especially just moving over to that CT side. And There's a nice couple entries for Wildcard. They do lose Sonic, but JBA and Stanislaw are there for the trades. JBA and Stanislaw both low on health, but there's only Rush. I say only Rush! He's looking the wrong way! Maybe there was no communication. Maybe he was gambling on them coming up these stairs, but he's taken down for free as JBA closes up towards stairs. Fozy comes the other direction. The pincer makes sure everything's empty, and George and Junior left to try and save as the bomb goes down, and 5 rounds and 6 are just about secured for Wildcard to kick off playoffs here. And again for Nouns, their only round came off of an incredibly unlikely hero anchor play in a one-and-done corner from Rush. He has 6 kills, 4 of those from that one round. Everybody else, 3, 2, 1, and 1.
Nouns falling flat. Wildcard showing us a plethora of different T-side defaults and early leans. We've seen them go fast A, slow A, depending on how they think the utility is going to be for Nouns. It's been well read by Stanislaw through and through. They just showed us a different setup by focusing on middle instead and going for a B split. Wildcard. Many different masks, but every single one is throwing Nouns for a loop. They save those 2 rifles. This is prime timeout territory. You're on the cusp of being able to go for an investment. In fact, George and Junior can both drop rifles. That will probably give you a solid enough investment. And you can't let any more rounds fall by the wayside. As you mentioned, this is a very defensive-sided team. They need to get rounds on the board ASAP. So call a timeout, talk things through. Especially if you're going to go for a force buy.
I like that timeout from Nouns. They've been struggling to get anything going. I think struggling might be a bit of an understatement here. It's been rather brutal for them. And they're going to go for the half around these rifles. I don't hate this call, but it really puts a lot of importance on rounds 8 through 12. Those last few are going to be incredibly important for what Nouns can actually make happen moving into that second half. Because Wildcard, on paper, should not be losing to this kind of a buy. Wildcard should be able to walk all over this, maybe lose a couple of players, win the round, get up to 6. That's already a solid T-side half. And now that one of the rifles trying to play in conjunction with each other is dead on stairs, the other one somehow stays alive. George is blind, but he got the spot in time. Gonna go forward for, and that's just a lone rifle to be recovered here by the CT side. Nouns are going the other direction, and I believe they've beaten everything. All they have to do is deal with Carson. That is clean from Stan. That's just about it. They reveal the elevator position with that smoke from CJ. Another one goes out. CJ's gonna hang around and hang back. Bomb goes down. 6 on the board. Incredibly likely Rush and George would be saving those rifles.
It should be, and CJ should run back and grab the other rifle that was dropped towards bottom B stairs. But at least Rush is content with fighting instead up towards heaven. He's dropped. CJ can now go recover that weapon if he so desires. 6, though, all but guaranteed at this stage. There's that recovered rifle, yep. The MAC-10, probably going to go for some hunting. Spot comes in, CJ misses versus Sonic. And George will find one. Fozy running with knife in hand, but he shouldn't find more. Sonic takes him down. Quick trade, 6th secured. And no saved rifles, not that they would be too impactful. Nouns can get an investment regardless. We do see an op coming out for Junior as well. He's had a very slow start to this map. Maybe this is the kickstart he needs. But it seems like Wildcard have been playing just stock standard defaults ready to counter an op if one is in play.
Yeah, we're going op versus op here. This is going to be fun. Fozy's op over towards B stairs, looking for an early peek. Junior's op, the other direction, peeking down side hall. Sees nothing. Backs away. It's going to be slow and steady for now. as there's no real contact between these two teams, just a little bit of waffling and utility play back and forth. Wildcard holding on to a considerable amount of their utility. Have quite a lot of Molotovs, 5 across the board, a couple of smokes. Still no picks for either side, and Wildcard changing up the pace entirely out of this round. Have to be careful not to run into the same kind of choke point situation that happened to them for that one Nouns round on the board.
That was sub 30 seconds when that one happened. Time was down to the wire. Spacing just wasn't quite there. Maybe the comms were a bit frazzled. 34 seconds remaining. Still no picks, as you mentioned, and Wildcard are now posturing for an A site execute. There are 2 here. Stando's heading towards B, as is the bomb. It's a double fake. They fake B, they go back A, they fake A, and now they go back again towards B. Fozy will sell this fake with the op in hand, going for spots, showing information by scoping in. And Nouns appears to have bitten on this. There's only one defender, it's Rush, and he gets nothing. Bomb site taken. Junior to try to buy time with the flashbang, but the bomb is still going down. 6 seconds left. Junior. Good kill on the sus through the girder, but still a lot more to do. Wildcard are well set up in this post play.
Yeah, it's 4 versus 3 retake for Nouns, which now becomes a 4 versus 2. That's a great double entry or double dink by Carson. JBA around. Stanislav's got another JBA 1 versus 1. Jumps up, backs down. Junior's up, sent over the edge, tumbling down. As JBA, 3 rounds in the magazine, needs 2 for the dirt nap, and Wildcard 7-1 up on Nouns, opening map of the playoffs here in the upper bracket. And boy, oh boy, Nouns are reeling. They can do nothing against the individual play of Wildcard. They can do nothing against the counter plays, strategy-wise, of Wildcard. And this triple by JBA is nothing short of spectacular. That last one, that's actually the first shot headshot, too. That deals with Junior, not even the second required. And now Fozy's got an entry. Stanislav gets 2 flash assists on the scrim towards stairs. George pushing down with an MP9. Carson has one as well, and George is dealt with accordingly by Sonic. Fozy blinded, not quite able to keep his teammate alive as JBA falls to Junior, or to Carson rather, but Junior dead in the interim. Means it's open A. Bomb will go down. Carson will try to stop it, but it's a 1 versus 3 with nothing but an MP9. Not a very likely scenario for him as utility comes raining on through. They'll be able to clear out the catwalk here momentarily. And how many more does Carson get? Just the 1. Fozy there to restore some normalcy. And this half has just become about unrecoverable for Nouns.
That was the first round that was quick as well. We thought we had time to show the replays. Clearly not. Pace got changed immediately. So I think Nouns are really getting desperate at this stage. Or the highlight as well. 7 of 10 of JBA's kills have come in a rather critical post plant that could have, or probably should have, gone the opponent's way. He found that 4K to isolate the first round victory for Nouns, and he found 3 in the round before last. And that, what was it, at one point, a 2 versus 4 post plant setup?
Yeah, it was 2v4. And it ended up being a 1 versus 2.
Tremendous impact from the young gun. He's not being the entry, the star. He's actually kind of stolen the spotlight as he's second to only Fozy. But he's being that last line of defense and doing incredibly well in that role on the sites.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of just anchoring out on the T side.
Anchoring in awkward spots, though. He's ready to swing off of everybody's contact. I guess that's kind of the way you wanted to play. Technically the second man in, swinging off the contact. Maximizing his potential, and it's, again, working incredibly well for Wildcard. A delayed play towards B is the call this time around. Rush again on the site. He's had an okay performance thus far. Carson's the one to take first contact, instead dropping Sonic. CJ blindsided by Sus, using the tunnel of smokes to get 1 and isolating the second on the site. He finds that kill as well. 4 versus 3, and as you can tell, Nouns are scared. They're already calling it quits. The 3 remaining players with the smokes and nades to complement their rifles are headed for the hills.
I also want to interject here, Nate. You said Rush has been having an okay performance. He's had 1 kill since that 4K in round 4. 1.
He's okay by his team standards, because as you mentioned, his team is struggling. Carson got some kills on the MP9. George Jr. are at 3, and CJ's at 4. Our player to watch is at the bottom for his team, and he still has a more than respectable 6-6, and he's been selflessly entering.
Yeah, he's gotten a little unlucky on some of those as well. Dying through smokes, getting taken down low just by utility via his positioning. That's one thing about Wildcard. It's a lot of selfless players that will all take the role nobody wants to take just for the overall success. Susp will go down, but he takes Carson to 1 HP as the hunt is on. Wildcard want to take these guns out of the Nouns' hands. And if they're going to be able to take down one more, it'd be huge. I don't think they want to risk the op here, though. Yeah, Fozzy's going to late peek this. Just be very tepid about it. So an op and an AK survive. Doesn't really matter casualties for Wildcard. 2 rounds to go in this half. They're up by 8. They have plenty of money. They can buy out for the rest of the half. They can get ops as well without a problem. And for Nouns, I think everything's just going to have to start shifting over to Nuke. Even that little halftime we get, the 3-minute halftime break, Nate, I think is going to have to be Nouns. Just, all right, forget about this map. Let's get ready for Nuke. Even if this does end up as a 9-3 half, which I don't suspect it will. Okay. That's a nice start. That might actually lead to something for Nouns.
Might lead to something. Also could not. Fozzy felled. He's the star for his team right now. George, I like this little off angle with the crush right underneath it. Stanislaw, so what looks the wrong way, but George misses the opportunity. Carson having his back line, though, finds Sonic.
Ooh.
Okay, he finds a second as well off the back of it. Wildcard being picked apart. Rush on B. Might have Susp on a timing. It's all up to timing. As I mentioned, Susp is the one to best his adversary. Still, a 2 versus 4 does not seem likely, even if this pair of players is firing on all cylinders. Bomb picked up. It's going to rotate around towards B. Susp needs to get at least 1, if not 2, along with a boatload of time for his team to have chances in this round.
I think it's damage right now.
Good flash and a missed opportunity for Junior. George doesn't swing for a trade either. Susp jumping up. Might have a timing. Carson walking forward, looks for it. It's Susp to find another. 3 secured. Stanislaw gets information on the 4th. Swing comes through. Susp the 4th, but not the 5th. CJ, a trade and a boon for Nouns. Something for them to cling to, perhaps, as they get a second round on the board, but with no money in the bank. It's going to be a beleaguer and difficult round 12.
And I don't think they get the op back either. We'll see if they do when we get back into it. But this is a massive individual performance by Susp. But don't discount the flash by Stan. The flash that gets Susp in towards Junior is huge. That might take the op out of play. We'll see. No, okay, it is recovered. But still, that made it a winnable 2 versus 3. If Stanislaw gets that kill on the first contact he has, it's a completely different round. And it's one which Wildcard end up having a bit of an advantage in that 1 versus 1 with the bomb down. That got way too close for comfort for Nouns. And it's an individual diff, again, from a Wildcard player. This time it's Susp who leapfrogs his compatriot Fozzy. And Nouns are getting a little antsy here, pushing aggressively. Sonic's going to take advantage of it, and Wildcard's T-side positions are all just holding back for these pushes. They're waiting for the peaks. They're waiting for the aggression. They're going to punish Nouns as they try desperately to cling to life in this opening map of this best of 3. And now that the A-side explosion's ready to come on through, things are getting rougher and rougher. The peak's coming in. The spray is wild and not converted. Stonic goes down to Junior, but here comes Fozzy. 1 on the op, swaps to the AK, cannot spell George. And so, JBA and Susp, 2 big impact players needed to do everything to get the bomb down. Nade goes high, Junior tagged low. Susp fighting elsewhere on the side goes down. JBA 1 versus 3 to keep Nouns off of 3. Nade will not find Junior. He escapes, strafing an elevator. As JBA has plenty of time, but no bomb. The angles are not favorable for him. He takes the fight on George. Rush is there to trade. Junior's around as well. There's a baited play, but it's a 9-3 half for Nouns, a recovery as we head into the break.
Nouns stem the bleeding in the last pair of rounds in the first half. 3-9, though, still a difficult scoreline by every metric. It's Pineapple Phillips and Boggs on the mic. And Nouns racing forward, trying to... Or, is it Nouns? Yes, it is Nouns racing forward towards the ramp, taking the fight early. Looking to maybe catch someone a little bit overzealous on the wildcard side. They get 1 for 1. They still now have to keep going forward. Stanislav finds another for his team, a second for himself. And this player now marooned behind the girder has to try and dance his way to a kill, but to no avail. Carson's found. CJ the Last Alive spotted. And now boxed in. Sonic is the one to do him in. 10-3 for Wildcard, a succinct pistol, and that should sink any hopes Nouns have for this first map.
Both pistols for Wildcard, now 3 rounds away from map number 1 victory and improving their stellar 6-0 record in the last 3 months on this map to 7-0. Nouns will have Glocks, Wildcard will have MP9s on 3, M4s on 2. I would not be surprised if Wildcard rather go for a bonus in the next round too. Just go in with MP9s, try something aggressive, B stairs or A ramp. I don't think middle is necessarily the best idea because of the generator position, but they might try that too. But somewhere with the MP9s, they're still a viable gun. And try and stab the 12th on the board with the minimal firepower provided by an MP9. But overall, there's nothing now it's going to really do in this round. It's straight Glocks, and unless we have a dazed curse here, this should be 11 on the board for the CT side.
Should be an 11th on the board. Although a loss to Glocks would most certainly be entertaining. Stan, the first... Nouns just hoping to be given anything at this point. Sus contemplated going down the stairs, which could have been his demise. As Nouns group up for this B play. 50 seconds left, no utility. The Glocksters going to group up on the stairs and hope for the best. Susp and Sonic to rebuke this take. The MP9 up close gets one, spotted and taken down. It's 1 for 1 for both weapons. That's concerning. Bomb will get down. 2 versus 3. Potential to do some real damage for this T side. CJ gets an upgrade to an A1S as well. It's also quite doable. With the post point they have set up, just a little bit of individual skill, individual prowess could get them across the line. JBA, though, dashes their dreams, as does Fozy from the back line. 11-3. But perhaps some cracks in the defense of Wildcard.
Yeah, that was surprising. You should not be going 1 for 1 against Glocks with rifles, especially if you are holding a defensible position. But I think we'll actually see it again on the replay here. Yeah, Sus, I mean, you kind of give him a little bit of credit. He gets overwhelmed. Sonic's just in a bit of a wide angle, which he doesn't need to be at. And a little bit of a lapse in concentration from the CT side allows Nouns to exploit an area, and this might be better for Wildcard in the long run, though, given the fact that now they do have 4 rifles and only 1 MP9. It's a stronger buy to try and rebuke the T-side take. Still, that means the money is vulnerable for Wildcard. They're in that reset position where they can fall victim to having to save if they lose a couple of players early, or having to save in the next round if they lose here on round 15. This flash from Fozy, though, if it's well-timed and Sus peeks off of it, can be huge, but doesn't even get one. It's dodged well by the players on the stairs, and the lineup does nothing for Fozy. The Swedish duo down for the count, but a blind Sonic sprays down 1. Can he hold the line as reinforcements come on through? Stanislav making his way in as well. It's time for the North American and South African trio to get their job done. And Sonic's just sent them packing back to A. Presumably, there's one little lurk on stairs, and he's not even going to overextend there. Junior's waiting, though. Stanislav seems to be ready for this potential, and while he's crouch clearing, he won't spot out Junior. They know he's here now and what exactly is going on. And JB is going to try to hunt him down to no avail, leaving Sonic, our player to watch, in a 1 versus 3. Ooh. That's a clean shot from Junior.
Clean shot. I can see the idea behind Wildcard's play there at B, trying to get information, trying to get an early pick, trying to keep Nouns from running their default. Perhaps champing at the bit a little bit too hard. Trying to get this map done and dusted. Do see a tactical timeout come through as well for Wildcard. They know they might be getting a little bit antsy, as I mentioned, a little bit impatient for going to that second map. Need to reel things back in. In fact, they're going for a force buy as well. After losing the first rifle round. 3 5.7s, an MP9 and an M4. No kit in play. I wouldn't mind seeing JBA or Sus sell their helmets to go for that piece of kit. Of course they won't. See if the 5.7s pay off. We'll see what kind of zany play Wildcard have planned, because their investment's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, this one's wild. 5.7s on 3, M4 on 1, and the M4 MP9 combo yields a 2 for none trade. Not even trade, it's just 2 for none entries. And a good start here for Wildcard, who grab an AK now for Sonic to use. He's still down and around, fighting bottom stairs. Looking to get some more on the board. And Nouns are sent reeling. It's a tactical timeout that works early for Wildcard. It's not over yet. There's still plenty of time to go. And Junior's over top, spotted out Stanislav, but his wild spray kicks a field goal and nothing else. Carson and CJ. Wild spray by Carson converts onto Fozy, who is stuck in transition. Carson scaling forward, but up top on headshot. JBA 1+half, and Sus through the smoke backstab on CJ, who took down Sonic in the end. But Wildcard put themselves on 13 or 12 rounds map point, not match point. It's best of 3 here. They'll be able to buy up here. Just need one more. One from that 13th score. And Stanislav, JBA, SMGs. But still, so many opportunities for Wildcard to put this one down. That's some good aggression off the back of the timeout.
It should be, at this point, is an insurmountable advantage. 8 rounds, 8 map points on this opener. Just seems like too much to ask for Nouns in a comeback. One wacky, zany force buy gets them across the line for Wildcard in one of these next 8 rounds. Aggression up B is the call, though. Trying to change the pace are Nouns, and it's a mixed bag of results. 4 versus 3. They're down by 1, but they at least have site control. He shows there's only 2 on the site proper. Junior's already been sussed out by Fozy as well. This duel could seal their fate. Fozy doubles back. Doesn't actually spot the shoulder for a time, but he's still paranoid about this flank. Comes in. He looks just a second too late. Junior from the backlines is harassing this retake. JBA forces the issue, finds the kill, back to a man advantage, but time has been bought. Halfway gone on the bomb now. CJ playing towards Jen, finds one. The double swing in response finds a trade, and it's trades out, which favor Wildcard. They send Nouns down to a second map now towards Nuke, but a 13-4 statement on the opener definitely bodes well for Wildcard going forward in this best of 3.
It bodes well. It got a little shaky on that CT side, I will say. Nate Wildcard a little bit too reliant on individual performances to push them over the line, but they got the job done. JBA was critical in the clutch in those high impacts.
Okay, CJ as well, but for the most part, it was the Wildcard show. Even when they were on the back foot, they found ways to win unlikely rounds. And since I have to give them a hefty advantage heading into the second map, they also do have the luxury of choosing which side to start on, which is very important for a map like Nuke that tends to be very CT-sided. In fact, it doesn't really matter for Nouns who have above 60 on both sides, but it really helps for Wildcard who have a sub 50% win rate on that T side. A chance for them to really build an advantage on the defense early on. You're into the action. Looks like Nouns are setting up for a sight pop in towards A through door. It's a ramp-centric hold from Wildcard. And actually, Nouns are going for the double fake down towards vents instead. Susp is here, as is Sonic. Swings come through from Nouns, and it's belabored fights that favor Nouns in the end. Even at range, the Glocks work. 3 versus 1. Fozy, the yard player, trying to rotate down Secret, is in a 1 versus 3. I don't think there was a kit in play either, which makes this retake all the more difficult. Walking into control, he's spotted. Yeah, the bomb isn't down, as you mentioned, and Fozy has isolated the first.
think it's down towards the little cubby nut by Silo.
Awkward now. Gonna take the fight early. Carson, though, is grouped up with his teammate. The right call to make for Nouns. They know that, I believe, Fozy was just desperate to try and shut them down. He didn't know where that bomb was down and if they had it on their backs or not. 1-0 for Nouns. Starting off their map pick right. But Wildcard are going to go for a round 2 investment that could catch Nouns unprepared. Scout for Fozy, Deagles on JBA and Sonic, and MP9s for Susp and Stanislaw. Very potent if played in the right positions.
Well, there's an opener onto Fozy from George outside. It's the force buy from Wildcard, and they come up empty on the first trial, and about the second as well, as Sonic is chipped down very low. Utility flooding in as Stanislaw is just on the other side of action. That's smoke down for now. As Wildcard not looking too sharp in this early going on map number 2. The USP's overwhelmed at range. JBA really the only one to get anything going in that pistol round. And now the Deagle's finding nothing, not even little chip damage. Sonic backing away. Susp does get an opener outside. That's potential upgrade for him as well. As he'll move back towards garage, grab the Galil over the MP9. Try to use that as the bomb goes B. A lot on Stanislaw down low to stop this push. Sonic, his 5 HP. If he gets damage... Oh, wait, Stan left. Sonic needs a headshot, and he's not even to fire a bullet.
Nope. Not able to do so. Timing just not in his favor. Rush is holding for the secret flank as well. Susp, picking up the Galil, has rotated in, and Nouns haven't taken the side either. He could just slip the gap in towards the corner. Stanislaw trying to go for proactive flank is caught. Susp only good for 1. George, good trade, who's off to a fiery start. And Rush, I mentioned on the lurk, catches JBA top vents. Wasn't a clean round, or a flawless round, I should say, but it was clean given what was thrown at them. 3 rifles will survive, 2 Galils and an AK. And Wildcard will be forced to save. Some USPs, maybe an upgraded pistol for Fozy if he really feels like it, or for Susp. But they should be far more inclined to save for the op going forward. Should be a chance for Nouns to stabilize their T-side economy. And hopefully establish a bit of a lead on their map pick.
And Wildcard don't have the greatest T-side either at only 47%. So this is a great opportunity for Nouns, who have a nigh equivalent win rate on both sides of this map at just over 60% on both, to establish a stranglehold early on this Wildcard side. Winning that second round was more important than the pistol for Nouns, because this puts Wildcard in the situation where they can't really get anything strong, and if they lose that first gun round, it spirals out of control. It cascades into the favor of Nouns, and then we're starting to look towards that third map, which is Ancient if we go there. 3 stack here on B, but it's just the pistols, the P250, and the USPs to do any sort of damage. Should not be too much to resist the MAC-10s that are jumping down as Carson doesn't clear deep. And now there's 2 from Stanislaw on the USP. Susp falls, as does Stan, and now Fozy chimes in with another. He's going to get tagged down low, but still alive and kicking. Sonic peeks in. Damage on 1. Sonic finishes the job. And a rush towards ramp, top of ramp, coming in through Trophy. Has no bomb. And a 1 versus 1 situation against Sonic, who's picked up an AK. No armor, sure. But this round has no business being somewhere in the Wildcard favor. And Sonic is still toying with Rush, doing chip damage with 18 seconds to go. Sonic might be better off trying to fall back. He fights! And he falls. Nouns escape with the round, thanks to Rush. But that was a poor round from Nouns. And look at their money. It is rough.
Have to reinvest most of what they've saved in these last couple rounds to get a buy back on the board, and there will be concessions. CJ lacking utility and only on a Galil. Junior at least has his op, which is pretty important on a map such as Nuke. Wildcard A very solid investment for them as well in this first rifle round, but yeah, Nouns don't have that resiliency you'd hope they'd build up in round number 3. That round was so costly, and Wildcard actually might be kicking themselves because they just didn't quite get across the line. I'm also sure they're happy with the damage they did. Junior, supported by his teammate, finds the kill on the Susp ramp, a big opening. And as you mentioned, losing this first rifle round for Wildcard could prove disastrous for the early, at this point, the midpoint momentum in this first half.
Nouns are controlling things for now, albeit tentative, and now with Fozy striking onto CJ, that's both ops finding kills. The nade's going to do a little bit more damage, and Sonic's going to help out on this retake. JBA sitting decontamination, waiting to pop that door open and strike when the moment is ripe, and he does just that. Spots out the second as well. Get some help from Sonic and from Fozy. Sonic with the one, Stan goes down. Junior in the open makes a scoping sound, but he's still able to get one. Somehow still alive. Fozy takes shots, can't kill him. And now it's Fozy in the 1vx situation. Rush wins the duel against Sonic, and Fozy's gone. He's bailing out. As Nouns are able to stay alive again, just keeping their heads above water in a couple of these last rounds, but they're able to win them nonetheless. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters on the T side, is just being able to win the rounds. And a 4-0 start on the T side of Nuke is fantastic. Wildcard's CT side has been a sieve, and the individuals of Nouns took a nap on Vertigo, but they have awoken for the second map of Nuke.
That was a heck of a flick from Junior onto that second player. That player coming out of door, I believe it was JBA. And Rush's lurk is a little bit late. We saw it against the USPs. We saw it there as well, chiming in at the very end. But it's still finding good impact. It's finding the late rotation. I believe it was Vent earlier on. Maybe even towards Trophy and Lobby. It finds the second as well here in the Chaos against that player Control. 4-0 start. Definitely solid for the T side. The best they could ask for. Wildcard, though, do invest around the saved op with their loss bonus. They have 2 M4s and 2 SMGs. CJ is racing down Secret. He's alone, and yet he still finds an opening and a boatload of space off the back. His teammates will walk to consolidate his gains. Susp. He has an MP9. Ooh, the jump bug. Forces him back. He's trying to get up top of scaffolding. Now he has to think better of it. Tucking in the back of sight instead. No matter which duel he takes, it's going to be unenviable. Junior is at decon, ready to clear top of scaffolding. This might be a boon. And it is! Sus shuts down the Opper. But his teammates, his support, are now cut off by the utility. Fozy trying to entry in as a hero with the op. Shotgun opping, fails at the first. Can't quite find anything, but Sus is still kicking. Fozy finally lands a shot as well. It's Chaos in the sight, but Chaos that ends at even footing. Sus and Fozy are both low. The SMG duel, in fact, it might not even be a duel, as they pass like ships in the night. 30 seconds left, bomb down on the site. And Rush against the op fails to find the sniper. Just the one down below. CJ slinks out. Caught a timing. Fozy won't be challenged though. Tap comes in. Fozy waits. The swing comes in. CJ one, not the second. A 1v2 nearly converted for the MAC-10. But Wildcard finally get on the board. The issue is 4-fall. It's not good for their economy. And these rounds have been very scrappy. Anything but convincing.
Now, for Wildcard, they finally get around to the board. Yes, it's scrappy, but that's the first thing they need to try and stem the momentum. And as you can see, Nouns do not feel in command of this map. That's why they're calling this timeout after losing just one round. They feel they're still vulnerable. They feel Wildcard have been coming way too close with way too little. They finally get around to the board. Yes, it took a monumental individual effort, but it starts with one round. It starts with one win. The confidence can build. The stability can grow on the CT side. And Nouns are looking to keep Wildcard to 6 or under on the CT side. The op from Fozy is going to be hard to deal with, especially as it gains momentum. The other individual, Sonic, I'd like to see him step up. JBA as well. And Nouns' buy is not great either. Galil, 2 AKs, a MAC-10, and a Tech-9. George and Russian have done a lot of heavy lifting for this team so far, Nate. And that missed smoke is not going to make things easier for Nouns. But the general point being, they are in a very rocky situation still. And anywhere close, or anywhere, they're nowhere near being comfortable on the second map.
No, neither team is, and that's why they called that timeout so early, as you mentioned. The issue is this scrappy back and forth, this push and pull, simply favors the T side because their economy is more forgiving. That's great for Nouns, because even if they're going blow for blow, 1 or 2 rounds for 1, that's all they need on the T side of Nuke. Should be perfectly happy as long as they can maintain this status quo, just going back and forth, going scrappy. We'll have to see if that trend continues. Minute left. Nouns have changed up the pace in a big way. It's going to be a play probably similar to the pistol, albeit with maybe a wrap in towards A instead. They throw some utility for a potential A pop, but think better of it. Only 2 flashes remain for Wildcard. Suspect Ramp is committed to this duel on the right side. Spots the shadow, but the peek doesn't come through. He tries to take the duel, but he's simply overwhelmed. George finds that. JBA rotating in is forced into the duel by the Molotov. He will get 1 for 1. Now Wildcard trying to hold the site from the back foot. First found by Sonic, evens things back up. The ump trying to get behind the smoke is caught, however, back to an advantage for Nouns. Sonic and Decon mollied back, caught in a corner. Takes so much damage from the flames. At this point, Wildcard might just consider the save. The up's going to be very unruly in the retake.
If that spam finds a kill, maybe they go for it. But it doesn't, and so it's saved time for Wildcard. They're 1 round, now isolated. Looking very reminiscent of how things started on Vertigo, just flopped the teams around. And the timeout from Nouns proves consequential. That's a well-timed pause. Settle the troops down, let Adren have a say if he wants to, or let Carson keep on doing the talking. I'm wondering if maybe Rush has something to say too, being the veteran presence on this team. And Nouns respond well to that timeout. Their most confident round in a while. That's a solid victory for Nouns, not just for the 5th on the T side, but to completely kill what Wildcard were building up towards. That's a momentum stopper right there that's going to put Wildcard back to square one. And they're going to force into this with an M4 and 2 MP9s around the op, and the M4 is saved. They're going all in here. Wildcard do not like their chances if they cannot get rounds on the board here quickly.
Yeah, they know how difficult this map can be, especially on the T side. Stanislaw trying to up the pace, a bit of a lobby crunch perhaps as he finds one. He has support behind him and a player in towards HUD as well. Junior gets a trade. JBA though, blow for blow. Scrappy, it's the name of the game. At this point, the CTs will take what they can get. Sus trying to come in through HUT and get an upgrade. Is tagged down to 46. Does he overstay his welcome or does he fall away? That's the question. So he's got to stick around, finally getting that upgrade. He might just get caught from above. No. He'll succeed in backing out. Minute left. Nouns down by 1. Still a most certainly doable round. It's going to wait for that smoke to fade before they aggress.
Susp is the linchpin. His combination with JBA will determine what happens, and Susp gets nothing. JBA caught by Carson. That's the round. Those two needed at least 1 kill out of those 3 entries, and Carson does it all himself.
IGL entry.
Yeah, and that's not a good result for Wildcard. That is a very poor hold on A from Wildcard. The fact that Susp isn't able to get a trade is the most egregious part of that.
Like the start from Wildcard, getting aggressive, getting scrappy, going for the lobby crunch with 1 HUT and 2 towards Trophy. But they get the guns, they fall back, and they kind of just sit and wait. They bide their time, they let Nouns make the move, which, you know, it makes sense. But given the passivity of their play, It's just very easily exploited by a gung-ho Carson, who goes down with the ship. 6-1, at the very least, will be tied going into the second half, which is honestly more than enough for Nouns at this point. I'd say 5 was what they were aiming for. They're at 6, and they have a very real possibility at finding a lot more. Wildcard. I'd say 4 is your absolute minimum. 5 is your ideal at this stage. But they need to tighten things up. Tactical timeout understandably used. As they just need to stem this bleeding.
Somehow, some way, they have to find a way to get back into this one. The op from Fozy has not been too consequential. The riflers have not been fantastic. 5-5-5-3-3. Very even, which is usually a good thing, unless it's on the low end. And it's on the low end right now. For Nouns, just keep on operating business as usual. Doesn't matter, CJ's 2-4. Everyone else is putting in work. Carson got 2 more kills. He tripled his kill count in 1 round. And that was just a double entry. He got the job done. Rush and George have been doing very well. Junior's been quick with it on the op. And Wildcard have been saving a lot.
Where's the op at?
The op
Ramp.
is ramp. Yeah.
Ramp. Makes sense. Nouns have been putting a lot of emphasis on ramp. It's either been secret or ramp. It's been their 2 bread and butter plays. So I get setting it up there. I wouldn't mind to see Fozy taking a smack out in the yard, though. Flash around for an A split. Sonic lines up too. JBA has his back as well towards Vents. Finally something going the way of Wildcard. 1 for George, short-lived victory. JBA just spamming the smoke. Cements a 3rd for himself in the round. And cements a 2nd on the board for Wildcard. 3 for him, 2 for Sonic. And finally something going the way of Wildcard. Very succinctly as well. 4 survive means they'll have a little bit of money in the bank to save as necessary going forward. And it looks like Nouns are actually reset as well. A big opportunity for Wildcard to come back into this first half.
Yeah, if they can get to 6, then they might be able to make something out of this half and
2
turn things
timeouts
around
committed.
with a pistol round. Yeah, 4 timeouts, 2 from each side. That's a lot of timeouts early, and I don't know if I like this one from Nouns as much, given the weakness that they will show on this buy. I feel like you use that going into round number 10 and not here when you have a full buy, not your pistol half. They'll probably go for something here. Fast, aggressive, or they'll wait out for pushes. Although I don't know if Wildcard are going to want to push. I don't think they will.
No, they've been more passive. They had that 1 scrappy push. Didn't work out. Can't imagine we'll see any more of the same. Maybe some yard presence with the op to support. Stand close towards Hut. Played on the vents early, Carson. It's the classic inside man style. It's a lot of control early. And kind of go from there. This is where things can get scary for Wildcard if they aren't careful. Sonic, 1 for many. Not traded either. Keeps the bulk of this T side at bay. Fozy at the ramp is holding an aggressive angle with the op. He'll fall back. Where's this flank though? Is it all the way up the ramp already? It is. Fozy, lucky to find that, but he's going to get a lot of players heading in his direction regardless. Misses the 2nd shot, but the support is there from Sus, who lines up 2. Not the 3rd. The scrappy Tech 9 gets a trade. It might even find a 2nd. It does. Fozy dropped. Now things can get awkward. George has some space afforded to him. He has the bomb on his back, and he has a lot of time to work with. Seems to be oscillating between 2 options. CT and Trophy. So he's made his decision. Grabs the AK to start things off. But he's boxed in. JBA has down below. Sonic has CT spawn at an off angle. Stanislaw has Trophy. It's a lot of space for him to work with. But no matter where he goes, he's going to have a duel.
But they're all 1v1s, Nate. But he has to win them. He has to win the 1v1s if he wants to make that work. There was that fast flank too, so it probably wouldn't have been too much of a tale if he dealt with JBA on site. But still, for JBA and for the CT side, that's critical to not lose an extra player. To make sure that it's going to be 3 players surviving, guns up, utility up. Now, this is a great little spot there by Fozy. He gets lucky. Carson's looking for a player holding more aggressive, and that's why he doesn't see Fozy initially. That gives Fozy the time to recognize the threat, scope in, look left, hit the shot.
How are they not prepared for that flank, though? He has to pop the window or open the door.
Yeah.
It's an oversight. It's a very big issue that they're lucky doesn't punish them there.
Unless
something that
somebody
needs to be fixed.
Yeah, no, there was nobody on site to even have broken the glass or opened the door early. So, I don't know. Unless somebody was talking at the same time the sound happened.
Someone threw a nade. Like, maybe they had some sort of mind games with utility, but I didn't get to see it.
I didn't notice anything unusual.
Carson. Pass outside yard. It is an investment from Nouns this time, but they have 2 Galils, and they're already very low on utility. They committed a lot to the outside cross, and they have not used it either. They're banking on it, pulling a rotation, which of course it has not. So we have that luxury of information. Pair of smokes for cross thrown again. Molotov thrown from Sonic to prevent them from going down secret. Was it a smoke thrown? I'm not sure. Carson will cross regardless. He'll evade the spam. It is a late second smoke cross for Nouns.
Will it be
4
calmed?
players here. Will it? Yeah, exactly. Will it be calmed? Actually, I think it's all 5.
Yeah, they're all
Down
through,
below.
I think. Because Rush is just waiting. He's holding for a flank. Look at the time. 23 seconds. Sus can win it with a spray down.
Stefan Jr. in the bomb plant.
Or just the bomb plant. Oh,
Nothing. Fozy gets 1, though. 10 seconds left. Bomb needs to get down. He'll peek out. Finds a second as well. Wasn't the bomb carrier, though. 5 seconds left. It will get down in time. Or will it? Fozy's up. Races forward. He finds a third. That's the round done. Rush on an island after time. Does he survive? The answer is no. Sand puts him to bed. Now, as you mentioned, the time got away from them. It wasn't the player back sight. Susp missed the opportunity. It was the op of Fozy instead finding his confidence and showing some gumption to shut down the play towards B.
That first shot was good. That second shot, aggressive, and it had to be perfect, which it was. The last to stop the plant, too, huge. That second shot to beat the fire, massive by Fozy. Goes down after stopping the plant. That's mission accomplished. Teammates get the op back, keep 3 alive again. And Wildcard now into the penultimate round are looking a lot stronger here. Nouns are on armor, no armor, and Deagle's a P250 and a Glock. Not even a full deco. CJ is going to eat a little bit of nade damage down to 69 HP. And he'll fall to Sonic eventually. Sus hits a headshot here, but he's been very hit or miss in this map, Nate. Has not been as confident and collected as we saw on the first. You have to imagine Sus hits a couple of shots here and there. It's a completely different scoreline, more to the favor of Wildcard. As the bomb may go down here as Carson's sprinting through, but he's not going to evade Fozy. He has found his form. And outer yard, the one man with a kill in the round for Nouns and Junior is taken out. The op stays alive. 4 rifles total stay alive. And into the final round of this half, Wildcard, a very good case to tie it at 6 apiece. And for Nouns, a very poor collapse. This was once a 6-1.
This was a very solid start for them. It's still okay. A 6-6 is respectable on the T side, but they will definitely be left wanting given that 6-1 start, as you mentioned. There's no other way to think about it. What could have been a far greater lead, and we see now a commitment of the 3rd tactical timeout from Nouns in this first half. This is quite the commitment. Both teams better on the CT side. Nouns expecting something more perhaps out of this. Initially I would have thought 6 is more than enough. They are putting a lot of emphasis on this T side.
They're putting so much emphasis on this T side right now. And I think for Nouns, they've, well, rightfully so, feel this map is their one chance to move to a 3rd. And a 6-6 is a much better situation for Wildcard than a 7-5 in favor of Nouns. A 7-5, Nouns lose the pistol round, they're still in it. 6-6, Nouns lose the pistol round, and it all becomes such a tightrope for them to walk.
But the last time they played, the scoreline was 7-5 for Nouns in the first half. Same side starts, and it was a 6-0 end on the CT side for Nouns.
That was also a very different wild card without the line experience.
It's true. It was in August. Same 5, but as you mentioned, far more seasoned now with the LAN experience.
And seasoned together, more importantly.
The chemistry has been built, but again, Nouns, I feel like they need to save one for that CT side just in case things get rough. Nouns pressuring the yard, but not committing to the cross. Still have a good amount of utility on the belts. Less than a minute left, though. JBA smoked in towards Mini. Smoked towards locker room as well. And now potentially a cross up towards Heaven. A different look from Nouns in the final round of this first half. But Fozy still is the one to find the opening. His op is ever present. It is smothering. He drops CJ. Rush's inside lurk is the only one in lobby. Everybody else is outside Mini. JBA's rotated around to play site proper, supporting with Stanislaw. Throws in a smoke. If I'm not mistaken, no, it's a flash instead. With Sonic above, they find one, picking apart Nouns. JBA mollied out back site, will just fall back instead, trying to play around it. Spots one, doesn't get the kill, but 12 seconds left. They have to cross in. Stan one, Stan a second, Sonic the third. It's a 6-6 tied ball game as we hit the halftime break.
Well, we're flying back into this one. The pistol round already beginning. have to map 2 between Nouns and Wildcard. Boggs and Pineapple Phillips on the call. Wildcard up 1 map to 0 in a separate bracket matchup in the playoffs. And Sonic's first contact does not find anything. George with the dual Berettas and his armor trying to reposition into HUD. Fozy around the corner, dealt with by the very same. George looking for 2, but he's dropped, as is Carson. Rush is CJ. A flurry of frags finds Nouns with a massive advantage, or rather Wildcard with a massive advantage. Nouns, the opener, and nothing further. An all-important pistol round picked up by Wildcard as they'll take their first lead of the map. And it comes at such a critical junction. And Nouns now put so much importance on that T side, Nate. And for what it appears.
It's now a 6-round slide. They lost all 3 tactical timeouts in that first half. Burned them all. And yeah, now you're kind of up the creek without a paddle. If this kind of spirals out of control, which it could very well given this force buy, then what can you fall back on? Your coach can't talk anymore. You've used all 3. It's exactly what I was worrying about in the first half. All right, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Nouns can win this force buy. Nouns could also win the first rifle round, and then things look more manageable. But a 6-round slide is definitely concerning. 4, 5, 7s, and a scout, and a slow T side for Wildcard as they quite literally hold. Wait. They get control of outside 4. And also just rest in lobby waiting for aggression. Nouns. A lot of emphasis on A. Playing the 5-7s to their best positions. The scout as well towards locker room. Watches a player cross at Sus tagged. And Sus bagged through Unbreakable.
Not so unbreakable now, is it?
Just trying to think of what to say there. Yeah. Lets a bullet straight through. Stanislaw in heaven, though, has slipped a gap. Could unseat this stack. Finds the first. Gets by. Knows the second one here. Spots one's Tetris. It's Stanislaw to find that as well. And CJ spotted not long for the world as Fozy does him in. Junior up in heaven has that scout and USP. He's going to struggle in this angle. Sonic also ready for the flank in towards Hut. Carson still finds 2 on the 5-7 though. And now things look very interesting. Could spiral very quickly as Stanislaw is low. JBA does, and Carson Jr. is trying to find one, trying to isolate duel, cannot find one. Stanislaw from below caps off the round with a 3K. And Wildcard. They get by, but it definitely wasn't pretty. That 5-7 getting 2. The scout finding the opener. Expensive round, but this is where they should buy themselves some breathing room. This is where things should be clean and confident.
Yeah, Wildcard can start to relax a little bit more here. Should find themselves a relatively easy 9th. As Sonic's already pushed out onto A, he's seen nobody. It's an outside hold from Nouns, trying to use the Deagle, the P250s, to pluck players away with range. Now the contact from Sus doing damage, maybe a kill with that nade, but all but a kill as it takes George down to 3. Carson, though, does get 1 on the Deagle, so already some kills coming through from Nouns, trimming the fan off of the Wildcard economy. Sus doubles up, though, as he's still alone outside. They're trying to put him to bed, and they finally will, but that's now a 3 versus 2. Save the AK Rush, and CJ can go do some damage. Rush is fighting, though, and it's the MAC-10 gone.
Rush was trying to cross.
Yeah. Rush gets away alive, and Stanislaw does a messy duel. He'll have to book it to stay alive.
Does not get away alive.
I don't think
survive
Rush
in
does
secret
either.
at 31 HP. He tries to fight while dropping the AK on the ground. That was his only call. If he wasn't tagged on the cross, he would have been fine, but because he was tagged low, that secret save does not work. That Molotov in that AK would have been very useful. The Molotov specifically. The T-side Molotov, far more potent to stop a take towards door, for example. Instead, squandered. Couldn't get away cleanly. 9 for Wildcard, but again, not clean. Losing 2, including an AK. But a 9-7 6 lead, and that is, what, 8 rounds in a row now for the wildcard side?
It is.
Seals make or break at this point for Nouns. Losing 8 in a row. Their rifle buy is compromised. It's everything they have in the bank invested. They lose this, they're down 6-10. Losing 9 rounds in a row. They have no attack timeouts. It becomes far more difficult. Junior doesn't want to let that happen, though. Op at ramp finds one. He's going to double dip. Doubling back. Susp finds Carson in the meanwhile. Sonic might just fall to the very same angle. No, he jumps by. Junior still finds one. And does he find a second? No. Sonic gets the trade. But in the chaos, another wildcard member fell. JBA, similarly so, caught by George. 1v3 for our player to watch.
And doesn't look like he's content to do much but save. He'll back away. Grab the bomb. And now begin to work outside with 35 to go. Very risky business from Sonic here. Ambulating the outside of the map. If you can find a blindside kill, be huge. But his time is running out. He's got to take contact. 13 seconds to go. Rush on top of hut. Free kill. Free upgrade. And they're first in 9 for Nouns. Stops the bleeding. And Wildcard this time. Gonna go straight in on that tactical timeout, Nate. A very fast tactical timeout response from them. And unless there's a bug, this should be the 3rd and final for Wildcard.
I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you. Can't keep track. There's been a lot this game. And again, applause to these teams for using them, because so often in North American ECL, we see no timeouts being used, tilt pushes, etc. Both teams very clearly want this one very badly. The Wildcard, off the back of the timeout, are going to go for a force buy. We have a Tech 9 for Stand, a pair of Deagles on JBA and Susp, AK for Fozy, and a Galil for Sonic. 5 smokes at the very least, as well as the most important piece of utility on the T side of Nuke. Nouns have an MP9 on Carson. It could definitely find some good impact. Sonic is the one to start the round off. He catches rush close. Vent, he gets down as well. Lots of control early for Wildcard's force buy.
Well, it's a man advantage for Wildcard here, and the sprays from CJ not finding anything, just kind of revealing his position. As the take comes through now through squeaky door 2 for CJ. George around the corner. JBA not ready for that. I'm surprised he wasn't. I thought he would have seen that for sure, but no. It's all up to Susp now. In a 1 versus 2 with a Deagle. Wildcard close. And yet stumbling. Not at the final hurdle, but towards the final hurdle.
This Crossfire feels so perfect as well for this playthrough mini. It's what they already know. Timing's everything. We get swing Junior quickly, but he's going to walk in instead. Eagle shots don't connect. Junior's the one to put him down. 2nd on the board for Nouns in a row. Saving 2 AKs as well. Still not clean ones, though. Losing 2 in that round before, last 3 in the round prior. CT economy is still going to be kept relatively low. But Wildcard with no bomb plant and that force buy falling are going to be on a save. Smoke for Stan and nothing more invested. Maybe a play out squeaky door for a push down fence. Maybe an A split as 2 players go up top Marshmallow.
It's just the Glocks for Wildcard. And what should see us to a tie ball game. Junior with a couple. Carson drops the molly. Doesn't get out of there alive, but a bomb plant would be huge for the Wildcard economy. Junior might also get caught as well as Susp is waiting up top. for a blindside just like this. Junior deals with it though, the bomb gets planted, and that's the victory for Wildcard. The extra kill from Stanislaw is just economic damage, and that is nice. Sonic's low, Stan no armor. One more for Stan before he falls, and 3 kills out of this round. Quite good for Wildcard, and a chance on the rush as well, who's very low. Junior low 2. Nade will finish off Sonic though, and that'll win the round for Nouns without further casualty. But a 9-9 scoreline that Nouns essentially limp to, and are going to be hard-pressed to have to reinvest into this next round for utility and riflery.
Yeah, Wildcard has done well to make these rounds expensive. Junior getting an op for himself at least, along with some rifles surrounding his investment. But not a lot of money left in the bank for anybody barring Rush at 4.3 and CJ at 1.6. Everybody else is below $400 on this CT side, so a squishy economy could be undone if Wildcard finally get around on the board in their favor. It's full AKs, good utility for this CT or for this T side, excuse me, and smokes for the cross outside. 3 players in the yard as well. 1 up top, Marshmallow. It's aggression from Nouns though. Could catch them off. Sonic 1 spots the second as well. A push all the way through. Squeaky door for George. Gets the trade, and now Nouns know exactly what's happening. It's everybody out in the yard. A lot of control focus there. CJ spammed down by Stanislaw. It's a bit of chaos in the yard as Junior gets a trade onto Susp. 3 versus 3. And the op trading blows with JBA top mini.
The outside players have to find a way back in. Stanislaw waiting for a flank that is not coming. Fozy down in decontamination. Trying to sow a little bit of chaos as a Molotov will clear out credit. All 3 CT players towards the outer side. And JBA dropped as he falls off of Mini, trying to get down and create an opening. Stanislaw should get safely to B, but he's going to be heard, and that's the most important part. The jig is up now. Nouns know what's happening. Time is so far gone. The extra smoke and Molotov are big for Stan. It gives him some utility to use. Here's the flank coming through. That smoke might not even get him the bomb down as he's tagged down low and dropped before the plant. Nouns will regain the lead. And Fozy, will he fall after time? Looks like, oh, that's a living right for a bit before George puts him down, as Junior just misses that shot. But overall, Nouns are coming back. They're finding life. They're keeping things alive. And the money for Wildcard without that plant is abysmal.
Wildcard are going blow for blow in the early goings. The issue is they don't have a clear end in sight. They kind of get stopped, stall, and then from there they realize, oh, there's 20 seconds left in the round. We have to go towards ramp early, or ramp as quickly as possible, I should say. Chaos now is it's just pistols running out in towards A. A bit of chaos, but chaos that Nouns should have under wraps. The op of Junior puts that final one down. 11-9. No bomb plant. Fozy at 35.50 in the bank. Wildcard have to invest, but it's their turn in a do-or-die situation. They lose this round, especially if they don't get that bomb plant. It's going to be 12-9 and very likely a 13th because they'll be so hamstrung for money.
Yeah, the money will be pretty brutal. Even with the bomb plant, it's not going to be good for Wildcard. They need this round. They need to trim the gap to 1. And Stanislaw down and out early is not a good start. The bomb falls as well. Sonic only 1. Fozy returns, but he's traded out in due turn. JBA, so many 1vx's on Vertigo. Doesn't pass the first test. It's map point for Nouns now. An Ancient. Looking like all but a formality at this point. So I guess Wildcard did have one more timeout to use. I thought they used 2 in that first half. I guess not. $12-9. Good riflery for Nouns. They've
again, been kept rather honest in terms of economy, but they have at least gotten to the finish line. It's been the individuals carrying this team. Carson and CJ have had impactful kills, but they've been silent otherwise. 8 and 10 kills respectively. George is at the top of the board. 23. 18 for Junior, 14 for Rush. Whereas, as you mentioned, it's a far more even spread for Wildcard. 13 for both Fozy and JBA, 15 for Sonic and Susp, and 17 for Stan. It's been a hard-fought map for both teams, but Nouns are looking a bit more fluent on this one, and quicker to start as well in that first half. Aggression outside now. Nouns finding their confidence. JBA racing it back. Red spots one, gets the kill. Did he spot the second up close, though? That's the question. Carson is sitting in the corner. Rush supporting from heaven as well. Carson, one spots the second, gets the second as well. 2 versus 3 for Sonic and Stan, both on Galils. Sonic compromised down to 44 HP. No utility between them either, yeah. Stacking the deck against themselves in this one. Junior flanking with the op outside, I think all the way T-spawn.
I dig it.
Sonic gets one. Junior, though, gets the trade. What can he do at this point? A player to watch. 1v2, no HP, no bomb. And 2 rather heavy hitters against him. Have to clear every angle. Junior watching for this exact clear. It's all on timing. You should have this kill at range, though.
He missed the timing.
They should know Sonic can be on the roof. They'll hear the jump if he goes for it.
Oh, yeah. Is he going to go back to A?
Bomb is in mini. Or outside mini.
There's so little time. No util. Little health. It almost seems like Sonic's delaying the inevitable here. Of course, we have the AWAC view. We can see everything. Just what could he do? But
Top by Junior. He knows. He knows that player has to come in through mini. If he's out in the yard, he's way too late. And Nouns, despite a rough mid-map slide, still managed to get across the line on their map pick, and still managed to make this best of 3 a full 3. Again, far less convincing than the first map for Wildcard, but still, a win is a win, and that's all that Nouns are really hoping for. Nouns to get the ball rolling, and then, of course, they won what is then from there. It was a 9-6 to a 13-6, so, or a 13-9, excuse me, so they lost, or they won 7 in a row to get across the line at the end there. So a very big turnaround from them. Again, I was very worried because they had no tack timeouts, but they proved me wrong on Nuke. And now, as you mentioned, it's kind of up in the air for this third and final map of Ancient.
yeah, both teams played a lot. 15-7 record for Nouns, 19-8 for Wildcard. I can like to see Boy as well on land. Lost 12 off to Wildcard, but lost to MP, NRG, and 9Z. Kind of blocked that record. It's Wildcard on the T side. Here's a storm around the B site. Already sus with a flash assist from Sonic to open things up. Fozy around deep towards CT. Takes down Junior, who tries to swing. Fozy gets a little bit too big for his britches and thus pays the price. Sonic around with Rush and CJ trying to come through CT. Long flank from Carson. Kit on a Rush. But that time is going to dwindle down faster and faster as we move forward here. Susp wild on the spray. Finally connects. JBA a little bit more succinct. And Stanislaw low on ammo is Carson. And just narrowly evading death via knife. We'll see Carson die to the bullet of Sonic. And a 1-0 map lead for Wildcard here. Round lead, excuse me. And will we see a force buy from Nouns? I don't suspect we shall.
No, they weren't big on force buying at all in the first or second map, if I'm not mistaken. And I do want to note, we didn't see the knife round. I don't know who won it, but I'm assuming Nouns won because they are the T-sided team, and they're on the CT side. Wildcard are typically more CT-sided, so it would definitely behoove Nouns to start there. And, you know, most teams typically do elect to start on the defense even if they are favored on the T side. Full USPs for Nouns and a stack towards A, which is not the right call. It's a gamble, 50-50, but gamble that won't pay off, yeah. Try to use your numbers for something. Do Fozy and Stanislaw hunt is the question.
It's worth it with the max. Get some money. Even if you get a couple of kills, it's still worth it. Are the CTs realistically going to use the Mac 10s? No, they're not. I think it's more than reasonable to go for it here. And they're going to go for a bit of a half hunt. Stand Deep will now start to aggress. Spots another one around the corner. Being danced with, running out of ammo. Grabs a second and almost a third. Sonic is there to back him up. In comes more as Stanislaw eventually put down. Fozy's Mac 10. One. Not quite the second. Full hunt in. And a couple of kills from the Max. Exactly what they wanted. 3 to be exact. And also now you only need to take 1 Mac 10 into the first gun round. From that point of view, it helps out significantly.
Definitely does. Stan will go for an AK, a little bit of utility. He'll be the only one low on cash. Everybody else is on the bonus. Good support from Sonic there. And an expected 2-0 start for Wildcard off the back of the pistol round victory. Rush, no gun. Didn't buy the M4 he thought he did.
Uh-oh.
And will he notice in time is the question. No, he's third KV, knows he doesn't have a gun. But I guess he's gonna roll with, no, he doubles back. No chance. It's 20 seconds of the round, can't get a gun. And that could come to bite them. Wildcard. Leaning towards A, 4 towards A main now as the bomb slowly slides over. Just Stanislaw the IGL to lurk over towards B. Junior in Temple, posted on the cross, spots the shadows. He knows what's happening. Utility thrown. Does he find the opening? No. Dodging the bullet, the MAC-10 flies over. Carson on the back of sight, hemmed in by the Molotov and caught by Sonic. Good flash now onto Junior, who's lucky to escape alive. And the spam from Donut is inconsequential. JBA's low. CJ, there we go. Some spam connecting. Now things can get awkward. 4 versus 4. JBA's low. There's not a lot of utility to hold off this retake. 2 in towards Temple. 2 in towards Donut. And 2 in A main for Wildcard in this post plant. Got Molotov, they might seal their fate. They actually don't have a kit in play. There's more focus on the rifle than the kit. And so they're going to save their weapons. Will Rush even get a rifle is the question. 3-0 start for Wildcard and worrying beginnings for the defensive Nouns.
Very worrying beginnings for Nouns, but at the same time, Nate, for the first 2 maps, the team that has started on the T side has won the first 3 rounds. And even more importantly, the team that has started on the T side has won the first 2 maps. So if you're a trend noticer, that might give you an idea of who's going to win this one. It's just a theory, it's just an observation, but the teams that have started on the T side have had the advantage in this series so far, and Nouns are already using a tactical timeout so early in this one. I'm a little confused using a timeout into the first gun run. I know it's very important, but that also shows a lack of faith in the overall team coming into this round, regardless. Like,
last round was the first rifle round.
This. That's true. But is it really, though? Because Rush only had a USP.
Why did Rush only have a USP? Maybe the team's frazzled.
That could be true. That's a good point.
Especially off the back of that, when you're in a 4 versus 4 into the retake, you don't have a kit and you don't have a player with a rifle. Definitely something that could be tilting. Got to talk it out, calm things down, get the nerves under wraps, and go from there. But I don't want to see all 3 using this first half, not unless things are catastrophically bad.
Yeah. We were talking about that in the intermission between maps 2 and 3 about the overuse of timeouts potentially. Fozy 1 and 1. George trades him out. And Stanislaw's down to 33 HP, so early on the damage battle being won by the CT side. But they need to have a little bit more success here. And long-term success as well. Winning rounds and not losing players. they're backing off of B. They're going to our mid-heavy rotation, which is going to open up some space here for Susp and company to work. Utility being thrown in by Stanislaw, the bomb carrier. And Susp has been given full room to operate.
It's got to be long.
A little bit dangerous, yeah.
Knows this. It's all on the duel, though. How delicate is it? Good flash in? No. It's actually a flash from the T side, if I'm not mistaken. The CT side, excuse me. Rush gets Susp instead. Bomb does go down, but it's on the back foot. The smoke has dissipated, and Rush is still stamping around it long. George to support finds another. It looked so well read and so ready for Wildcard, and yet they fall flat. It's just Sonic. He picked up an op off of Fozy, but he's a 1 versus 4. He's found the first. Spots the second, gets the shoulder shot, but now he's stuck in a corner. He gets a third from the corner. Now he's making it doable. Naded down low. Junior has an op of his own. Does Sonic get away? The answer is yes. Tap on the bomb. Junior trying to compel him forward. The nade does him in. Does he have time? I believe he does with the kit on the belt. A chaotic round and an expensive one as well, thanks to Sonic. But it's a round that does eventually go the way of Nouns. However, it should not have gotten that close.
Oh gosh, no, that should have been nowhere near that close. And for Sonic to make that a winnable 1 versus 1, which Junior had a well-placed nade that bailed him out in the end, gave him the time to get the defuse. If that nade doesn't kill Sonic, it's a round for Wildcard. A little bit of luck to get Nouns on the board early, and a big individual round from Junior to have the poise to clutch that out too. But Sonic, he stepped up big time, and they needed somebody to step up big for Wildcard in this third and final map. He'll go 1 for 1 on the entry out middle, and that smoke blow up by Junior works out perfectly onto JBA. Susp, in the meantime, is scaling out on A with his teammates far behind him. Messy spray on the first duel, and he goes down very low. Junior's dual Berettas might just be able to find him with one shot, as Susp is still around towards Temple. Junior looking for something. Fozy not going to pull the trigger. I do like that discipline there in this 3 versus 3. Kits on Rush and Junior. Full health Molotov. There should be no reason they don't retake. And Fozy's op now on the ground as Junior strikes again. A costly round victory for Nouns in the first. And this one should not be too costly unless Stanislaw has a miraculous timing that works to stop the bomb defusal, which is tapped to try and bait out a peek. This might just work out. George goes back, though, and he will win his fight. Only 2 casualties for Nouns. They won't go for the extra op. They'll get a couple AKs. Just 1, actually. Rush not able to get to another. But 2 stable rounds off the back of that timeout. Well timed, well called, and for Wildcard, again, you mentioned Nate, they're more CT-sided on this map, while Nouns are more T-sided. How does that factor in, as these are technically the weaker sides for both of these 2 teams?
How does it factor in? Most teams just by default should be more comfortable on the CT side. Wildcard. Struggling. Sonic is the player above everybody else. Everybody else has been struggling. Another walk down ramp from George. He's done this before to trade out Fozy. This round he won't even need to trade. He'll get the opening out right. Spots a second as well. Good flash from Rush. 5 versus 3 secured this. Lurk on Snake / outside Jaguar has been dispatched. And now the final trio are all towards middle. 2 Deagles and a Tech 9. At this point, absolute best case would be a killer 2. I don't see them getting a bomb plant. Nouns, again, showing us why this map has been in their pool since the very beginning.
Yeah, Nouns have loved this map. Wildcard have loved it recently. But it really does come down to which team is better on this particular day to decide the victor. It's an upper bracket matchup, an opening round matchup at that, and it has a lot more fire behind it than just your standard opening round, doesn't it, Nate? And I think that's the new playoff format really coming into play, too.
Yeah. Instead of the first and last seeds facing off at the start, it's, what, seed 3 and 6 facing off?
6, yeah.
Far more action-packed. This is the only best of 3 that went to 3 tonight. But still, there were some tight-knit battles. The lower bracket was tight-knit. The second map of NRG and Party Astronauts went to overtime. It does lead to a lot more action out the gates. And like I mentioned, it does give those top-seeded teams, those teams that put in the legwork in the regular season, the advantage they deserve. Flawless round, though. And round number 6 to disassemble the half-buy. And Wildcard's buy is far scrappier than I expected. AK's in a Galil, lackluster utility, and aggression. Sus slips the gap behind Rush. He'll get some room, but George and CJ find kills in the meanwhile that go unanswered. Fozy, one on the George. Rush, top of Snake, totally unexpected, catches JBA. Sus needs to do a lot here. He needs to get one and secure the site, consolidate his gains. The issue is that Rush is already slinked back into the back lines. The bomb is down bottom middle as well to add insult to injury. Rush playing this so well in this corner. Sus knows it's a possibility, but will he hard clear it is the question. Does he think that Rush had the time? The answer is no. He does eventually clear it half-heartedly, but Rush has the kill easily. Fozy, the last alive, spotted at 20 HP now as he's tagged by the op. He'll find the first onto Rush, but Junior connects the second shot as well as that first. Nouns take a lead, 4-3. They're showing no signs of slowing down.
No, the individuals are looking stronger for Nouns as well. And this time it's Carson who's having the slower map, CJ in the last one. But everybody in general on Nouns is having good individual performances. Rush here and there, Junior here and there, CJ here and there. George has been stalwart. And seeing George up towards the top for Nouns is a good thing too, because while he's taken a more supportive role on this team in ages past, his individual firepower at one point in the North American scene was potentially the next big rifler. So to see George kind of coming into his own again is really good. This is a Nouns team which has been struggling lately. They have not had good results. And in the Dust2.US top 10 ranking, Nouns were falling fast. And understandably so. No good results, middling at best. But this also means they've been taking the time to retool. Wildcard maybe feeling pressure for the first time in a while. And already Susp is tagged on this pistol half-buy. Junior's going to have to be careful here, being obliterated by nades, and a blind George falls down. Rushes here, though. 1, 2, almost a third. As Junior strikes, nade should find one more. Never mind, it's just damage on the Fozy instead. But Junior, lineup chance. That's a nice shot from Fozy. Great nade from Carson, and CJ sprays down Sonic. But that's a very costly victory for Nouns. All they were able to recover is the op. Everybody else is going to have to reinvest heavily. 5 in a row, though, for the Nouns, and no timeout called yet by Wildcard. Don't be surprised if we see one here, as they desperately need to talk things over, figure things out, as they are in a bit of a rut on this T side.
So we got close. And they speed things up, but they don't get picked apart trying to go for a default. They find some pretty good success, even with lackluster weapons. Question is, do they kind of up the tempo, encouraged by that result? It looks like they will. Sonic out middle. One trade onto a second as well. George 1 for 1 in Red Room. CJ getting controlled in extremity. Pushed into A main. And Rush in towards Red Room finds one. CJ a second. CJ a third. CJ all 4. Perhaps no. Perhaps a fourth is what I meant. Third for himself. Fozy's still on the back foot, though. He gets that trade, but needs to find 2 more. Rush and Junior, though, have already grouped up. They're flanking A main, making things all the more unlikely for Fozy, who has to clear so many dang angles. Double back. He might find one, but surely he won't expect the second. Not at this spot.
If they line up, though.
He spotted the shoulder, but I think his res just wasn't there.
That was kind of dead middle of the screen, though.
It was pretty close to the middle, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. He might have also not noticed it, because we have the X-ray line that gives us the extra light cue.
It's true.
I mean, if you're not looking there precisely, you probably aren't going to see that.
That's fair. Wildcard calling their attack timeout now. Looks like they're going for a force as well, because I saw an AK in play immediately. Compulsively, I dare say. Yeah, it's going to be a force buy.
I do like giving Sonic the AK. Give your star player in this map the best weapon possible.
It's a half buy. He had extra money in the bank.
Yeah. It's a heavy invested half buy, but a half buy nonetheless.
With the loss bonus, it makes sense. It's max loss bonus at this point, no doubt. Bomb plant will more than make up for the losses, assuming, especially assuming Sonic's gonna get a kill. He should, given his form. Three A main early. Sonic at point finds one. Rush trades onto JB8. Sonic is going to scale forward rapidly. Might even go ahead of that Molotov. No. Playing around it, he'll find a second. Again, you mentioned the hero on the rifle. Putting in some legwork. George, though, drops that lurk of susp, and we're still back at even footing. The gains made by Wildcard are answered by kills from Nouns. Two walking out middle, looking to clear maybe Donut or Red Room. That's the bomb as well. They need to be careful. CJ is the only A-site defender. He's in towards Temple. He'll drop down. It's an off angle. Needs to do a lot. Swing from Sonic finally felled. CJ now expected. He hears the steps, finds the second, and Junior on the op is rotated in towards CT to find the third. Looked okay for Wildcard at the start, but a dismal end to the round. Cannot buck the trend of what has been a Nouns stomping on the CT side.
Yeah, Nouns have stormed to a 7th on the CT side, an 8th looking very likely for them if they keep this momentum up. Wildcard are hemorrhaging rounds. They are looking stunned, shell-shocked by this resurgence from Nouns despite losing those first 3 rounds. And Fozy flashed off. The op finds nothing. It just reveals his position. Junior, meanwhile, catches JBA full blind out mid. Opening pick once more favoring Nouns. Wildcard, what is your response? Your timeout yielded nothing. Your fast play on the rifle yielded nothing. Your slow play has yielded nothing. Your T side, off of the back of the pistol, has gotten you 3 rounds and nothing else. And Susp is lucky to get out of there alive on that engagement. Already spotted 3 players here on B as utility floods on in, ready to rebuke our Nouns. And Wildcard pumped the brakes. Playing a little bit slower. Molotov coming in as the take eventually comes on through. George sprays down 2 through the little gap he has around the flames. And that should just about put the final nail in this coffin. A 3rd for George. And Rush comes in for the last relatively clean round for Nouns. And to the final of this half, Wildcard. 3K roughly across the board. Not the position you want to be in.
An unenviable position for Wildcard. Gonna buy what they can. 3 AKs like a Little Mac 10. Lacking utility on a bulk of the squad. Of course, Nouns not wanting for anything. Fullest to full buys on their side. Rush aggression in towards the cave once more. George is the one to find the opening. He's tagged low by Stanislaw. He still gets the kill. Carson, he's had a very slow first half. He's going to be tested over towards A. He's alone here. Tags down 1, tags down 2, but can't get a kill in either department. Still good damage done. Junior's op finds one and finishes what Carson couldn't. And the 5-7 finds the second. 3rd spotted. CJ gets the kill pushing the smoke. Susp is lurking out B. He has a Mac 10. He has 4 against him, and sure, 2 of them are lit. But this is not an easy play by any metric. CJ already holding the smoke. Nouns are just a step ahead, if not 2. CJ should have the kill. No, Susp does find 1, but surely it's short-lived. Yes, it is. 9-3 dominance from Nouns as we hit the halftime break. Disappointing first half for Wildcard as they slip to a 3-9 deficit, trailing by 6 rounds.
Yeah.
The likes of Nouns. It's Pineapple Phillips and Boggs on the mic. And Nouns with a rather quick pistol round, perhaps all the way down B ramp. CJ the opener. These players on site now going to struggle at close range with the USPs. Sonic and JBA find a pair in response, and the Glocks, just can't quite hit their mark. It ends in a chaotic 2 versus 2. Both of the CT players locked in towards Cave. They'll jump out. CJ the first and George the second. Bomb plant beckons them forward to the thought of it. Excuse me. 10-3, and that feels like what could be the final nail in Wildcard's coffin.
Yeah, that's a great result for Nouns to take the pistol. They lost the first half pistol, but they win a critical second half pistol, which would bring them to a match point up 12-3 if they're able to convert this and the following. Yeah, absolutely insane for Nouns, and turnaround, which has seen them win 10 in a row following Wildcard's pistol round victory. That one timeout in round 4 from Nouns sparked this comeback. And that is one of the best bang-for-buck timeouts I've ever seen. And if they can continue this for more, it starts off well with Sonic falling down to Carson. A couple upgraded pistols, no armor for Wildcard. Not going to be able to put up much resistance, at least in theory. And that's a nice kill onto Carson, who's had a pretty rough showing of it. But George comes through with a kill on the MAC-10. That's the B side now opened up, as that was a lurk player from B that's caught. And as Nouns buy some time, it's just going to let the MAC-10s cook. And Rush will not cook. He shall be cooked. And JBA can now win this round with 2 kills.
Good. Up close. I like this angle. It should be expected, but they're still not respecting it necessarily. Junior swings out, gets the kill. Weird that he might get caught with utility in hand, even with the support. Now we're going to give that 5-7 an opportunity. Last pair were both towards B. One has a MAC-10, one has a Deagle. It's Fozy and Susp. Swedish duo. I feel like they have to commit into this one. Good nade. MAC-10 up close. Just can't get the kill, though. Doesn't have the stopping power. Just Susp remaining, and he has to make this take succinct if he wants to find it. Junior does him in instead. 11-3. A lead of 8 rounds now secured. And only 2 away are Nouns from pulling off the reverse sweep in their opening match of playoffs.
Yeah, Nuke was a bit more contentious, a 13-9 victory for Nouns. It was 13-4 all the way back on Vertigo so long ago now, 2.5 hours ago. Wildcard, a shadow of what they showcased on their one flawless map. And now with a 50% win rate on Nuke and stumbling on Ancient, their most played, things are looking bleak for this team off of the back of a performance at ESL Challenger Atlanta that saw them make the playoffs. And a wide open A site to be exploited by Nouns as they slink on through, smoke everything down, and traipse to get that bomb planted. CJ swings onto Fozy. Carson's charging with a MAC-10, playing distraction for CJ to come through and clean up the job. One more spotted in Donut, harassed back by a spray of MAC-10 rounds. As Nouns creep closer to 12. Rush around the other side of Stanislaw. He does not know yet, but he's figured it out now. One more for Rush. He actually gets 2 out of that, as JBA late to the trade to try and save, but 9 rounds will separate Wildcard from overtime, as Nouns have locked in a 12th. Despite that kill, which does nothing but economic damage, the gun will not be saved, and that is a death nail to Wildcard's chances.
Yes, it is. The only individual from this team that woke up for this third and final was Sonic. He's at 16. Everybody else is below double digits and by a significant margin as well. JB is only at 6. Fozy and Susp at 7 pop. Stanislaw at 3. Tactical timeout used their second. Well, what can you really plan when you only have SMGs against the full rifle buy of Nouns, the full might of Nouns that are firing on all cylinders as they are in this one? Rush 2 there with the MAC-10 is dastardly. George, that, as you mentioned, final nail to really make this buy all the more beleaguered.
Yeah, this is an SMG buy. 5 SMGs for Wildcard. Stan could not even afford a MP9, so he goes for the UMP. Utility's okay for Wildcard, but it doesn't really matter. It's a lack of firepower. That's the major concern as Nouns begin to stream towards A again. JBA, first contact, gets down 2, go for third and almost takes him down. Sonic able to grab a pair as well, and off the back of the timeout and a rush towards A. The SMGs lock it down, unless Junior 1v4 is here, which would be quite a magnificent feat from the Opper. We're going to go see ourselves sitting at a 12-4 score line now. Nouns will be able to invest back in again. Rush is going to be a little light for money, but George can drop him over. I feel like it's a little impatient from Nouns to just kind of run that down.
Yes, it is. Through the smoke, no respect, a little bit too much gumption. Getting humbled a little bit, but they have rounds to work with, so. Go for something confident, I suppose. Still have full AKs at least, but their economy isn't so great, lacking a bit of utility. Wildcard as well, still not perfect. JBA's on that SMG once more. Straight out main they come once more. The Molotov is there for JBA, but doesn't have the stopping power you would hope. Not the CT sides at least. 4 versus 4, and the bomb is quickly hitting dirt. Race through the smoke is the call. Sonic gets one, but only one. Good trade from George. 3 versus 3, and not a lot of utility for either team. Fozy, Susp, and Stanislaw have to all answer the call. They're the ones that have been the lowest on the board. Susp, the first secured, very solid. A second secured for him. Rush gets the trade, but in a 1 versus 2, his back's against the wall. Flashes forward, tries to find the first. It's a stick from the CT side, and Rush does not respect that play. He'll get both kills in the end, technically securing the 1 versus 3, but he still loses the round because the defuse was stuck by Wildcard.
That's a good confident stick. They knew where Rush was. They had the trade there. You stick it. Worst case scenario, you trade it. Best case scenario, you both survive. It's a pretty high percentage play there from Nouns, and despite JP only getting 1, the retake's furious, or from Wildcard, excuse me, the retake's furious and fast. And Nouns are now on an AK for Rush that he saved over. And the Tech-9's Deagle and P250 rounding out the rest. Vests for CJ and Junior. And a Deagle shot that almost connects, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and the Deagle shot was neither. And we'll see what looks to be a 6 on the board for Wildcard, barring anything crazy, but the money on the CT side is still dreadfully low. Losing 4 in that last round puts them in a bad spot. Stanislaw, it's a good one to start off with. Traded out by Rush, but that AK now rests on the floor. The pistols moving towards the A side of things, and maybe Fozy will contact out in cave. Thinks better of it. That's a dink from George, but not the kill. Unlucky for him not to get that frag. Now out towards B they go, segmented and alone. And so Junior in a 1 versus 4 to do some damage to the CT economy. That's all he can hope for.
It's all he can realistically hope for, but again, the individuals in this team have been fiery hot. He has the bomb on his back at least, which means that Wildcard have to spread out and cover every avenue of approach. Junior, though, just grabbing the AK and just hoping that someone presses the issue with him in cave instead. Worried about these close angles. Clear them eventually. 20 seconds left, though. Susp is posted from long. Let's get that kill and the second quickly on sight. Takes a chance, swings out, sprays, and does not connect. It's Susp instead to win the duel. A clean one for Wildcard is what they need to iron out the issues in their economy. They survive with 4. That's good for them. They'll have solid utility going forward. Nouns. That half buy does not work out for them, so they'll go for the investment, but it's going to be compromised. CJ's on a Galil. George, probably an AK and lackluster utility. Tactical timeout used by Nouns at long last after these last couple rounds slide away. Feels like they've been playing relatively fast, relatively loose. They haven't really been locked in to close it out just yet, trying to see what can stick to the wall when they throw it out. To be fair, a lot nearly has. Put this one to bed sooner rather than later. Don't give Wildcard hope. Don't give them momentum.
That's the most important part. Don't give them hope. Don't give them momentum. Don't let them believe. If you can squash that hope, if you can kill the belief, you have an easier time of winning. Right now, Nouns have given Wildcard a little bit of life. Much like a Draugr in the Tombs. Not quite risen fully from the dead yet. The ashes still cover the Phoenix. A long way to go to fully rise. But a slower Nouns here.
Slow Nouns. I feel like a victory here for Wildcard is what will give them hope.
Mm-hmm.
They've already compelled the timeout out. If they can weather that storm, then that gives them something to grasp onto. They've lost that opening. JBA and Donut has 2 bearing down on them. They'll get 1, not the second, although good damage.
Especially after the dink.
Rush though finds Stan. Fozy gets the bomb. Okay, I was going to say, this round might be over, but with the bomb on the ground, maybe things can get interesting. Susp, though, needs to find a way to support, and he's smoked off. Fozy hemmed in, caught. Couldn't find a second. 1v3 for Susp. The walkback CT Sawan is spotted. Susp now known, gets the first, but on 7 HP versus 2, it should simply be impossible. Here's the kit. 2 now entrenched in Donut. Of course, he doesn't even have that information. The only buddy he has is on that weapon. No tap. They both swing together. Rushes the one to get the kill. And Nouns stumble a bit at the end, maybe play with their food a bit more than they should have, but they do pull off the reverse sweep and get the victory 13-6.
Yeah, pretty clean victory, all things considered. 12 rounds in a row after the initial 3-round slide out of that map. And Nouns a confident victory on the last 2 maps in particular. Very bad on the first